back-to-back sellouts at Everbank Field. Mostly sunny today. Temperature in the 70s. Getting ready to kick. Let's head down to the field in Laura, Oakland.
Hi, Chris. Leonard Fournette wanted to play today, but doctors ruled him out with that quad contusion bothering him all week. For Houston, DeAndre Hopkins didn't practice all week due to sand in toe. Never heard of it? Neither had DeAndre. It's a common volleyball injury. Turf toe, bottom of the toe, sand toe, the top. I asked him, was he close to not playing? He said, you would have to cut off my head for me not to go up against this quarterback duo. Chris, he was serious.
Thanks, Laura. He's one of the best toe tappers in the league when it comes to making catches on the sideline. He needs all the toes. Both toes are sore. Jags won the toss. Deferred. Texans back to receive. Josh Lambo to kick off week 15. Chris Thompson, free agent from Florida, a former Gator, back, and it's underway with the Texans and the Jags. Thompson will down it in the end zone and out to the 25-yard line. By the way, we've only had in the entire NFL 3 kickoffs that have been returned for touchdowns this year. One of them came here when the Rams did it against Jacksonville. The offensive line, they've used 5 different starting left tackles. Lamar Miller will share time with Alfred Blue and T.J. Yates, the starting quarterback.
Yeah, and that's going to be your starting offensive line, but watch for additional linemen to be a part of this game plan all afternoon to help protect those edges against this very aggressive Jaguar defense.
Yates, incomplete. Trying to go to Steven Anderson. This is his 3rd tour with the Texans, and he came in last week with the Tom Savage injury and moved the team downfield, went 14 of 26, didn't turn it over, 175 yards, couple of touchdowns, and he ran for 30-plus yards. Hopkins, top of your screen. They hope to target him all afternoon. Lamar Miller with nowhere to go. It's the #1 defense in the NFL. They're giving up just 15 points a game and 47 sacks. They lead in that area. They lead with 30 takeaways. No team has ever done that for an entire season.
And the most important thing against Jacksonville is staying ahead of the chains. You don't want to be in this situation right here, a 3rd and long, where you can turn that front loose. They don't have to add blitzers to get to T.J. Yates today. They're down 4. It's very impressive.
Telvin Smith returning at linebacker off the concussion, missing the last couple of games. Third down and 9 for Yates, and we have a flag. Movement from the Texans.
Full start, number 10, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Carl Cheffers, our referee, and Hopkins, maybe those toes moving before they needed to.
It's going to be a great matchup to watch. There he is at the top working against Jalen Ramsey, and they decided to travel Jalen. That first game in week 1, they had A.J. Boye on DeAndre Hopkins a lot, and defensive coordinator Todd Wash feels more comfortable with Jalen Ramsey traveling today.
Need to get to the 35. Dancing around, dumping it off short. That's the fullback, Jay Prosh. Colvin on the tackle. There's a flag down back where Yates let the ball go.
Breno Giacomini is furious right now, talking with the officials.
Personal foul, number 68, offense. They're hitting a down player. That penalty's declined. Result of the play, 4th down.
And he was adamant in his discussion with the officials. It'll be interesting to see exactly what. Here's your chip by Prosh right there. So you help out your tackle right there. You shove him down inside. Yeah, it looks as though he comes down on top of him. Then there's no need to finish the block all the way down aggressively like that. You can come down and do it in ways where you don't give the official the opportunity to throw the flag on you. We talked about how the Texans going to perform today. One of the things that you can't have 2 penalties on your opening possession.
Put your quarterback in a hole. Now your punter, 41-year-old Shane Leckler, who, by the way, is the emergency quarterback the third quarterback active if you needed him today. And flag down as Mickens gets up to the 29. Again, the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week for the second time this year. We'll check the flag.
During the kick, holding number 53, receiving team, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Blair Brown called for the infraction. There is Doug Marrone, 6'5", from the Bronx. Former lineman who has done a terrific job, interim coach from last year and at the range full-time with this offensive line that has gotten better. Even the opposition says when they're looking at film, Darryl, how much this unit has improved.
They really have, and it was just finding that starting five. Some injuries during the course of the year. Last week I thought they had their best game of the season against Seattle. That's a good defensive front when you talk about the defensive line and the linebacker group, and I thought that Jacksonville was outstanding. And Doug Marrone said, I started to see some push, not just covering guys up, but creating running lanes for this run game.
Chris Ivory starts for Fournette. You heard Laura's report. He's missed 2 starts this year. They won both games.
Down. Green 80. Green attack.
And Ivory the football. A flag down, and he stops short of the 10-yard line. Kareem Jackson up from his corner spot for the Texans. It's going to be a holding call.
I thought it was just a saying that you could call holding on every play in the NFL. I think you actually have to do that.
I mean, these flags are flying like it's, I think there's been one on every play.
Holding, number 74 offense. That penalty's declined. Second down.
All right, we brag about the offensive line. They get caught with a hold. That's the rookie from Alabama, Cam Robinson. Bortles has been playing some great football. Has not thrown a first quarter interception since last year. In fact, it was November against the Texans. And a big win over Seattle. He was super steady here last Sunday.
Top him, bring it. Green attack.
Ivory straight ahead. And it'll bring up third down again. Alan Hearns remains out with that ankle injury, so those young receivers who stepped up big, Keelan Cole and D.D. Westbrook, will be on the spot again in the passing game.
And with his Texans defense, one of the things that's going to have to happen is that guy right there, number 90, Jadeveon Clowney, is going to have to make some big plays this afternoon. You're going to see him move throughout the front, trying to find a favorable matchup during the course of the game. He's your last star standing on the defensive side of the ball, and it's up to him to create some big plays.
That goes 35. 35. 35. You got him out there. Green 80. Green attack.
TJ Yeldon is in at running back on third down. Bortles has time, and the catch is made. Dropped as Keelan Cole went to the ground. He was right at the first down marker, but the coverage was good enough to create an uncomfortable catching radius for Cole, and it's fourth down. So that's kind of what you expected, the AFC South, right? These are a rematch from week 1 when the Jags went up to Houston and dragged out a tough win with 10 sacks in that game. Nordman standing in his own end zone, and Will Fuller back inside the Texan 30. Fair catch laid for Sonny out there, but good field position on the exchange of punts. It's scoreless early. Jacksonville, Houston, the defense is setting the tone. Bill O'Brien, 4th season here in Houston, enduring his first losing season. Good buddies with Doug Marrone. They've been pals since the 80s when they were on the Georgia Tech staff together. Alfred Blue lines up on a direct snap, a little bit of a wildcat, and picks up the healthy gain on first down, unlike that opening drive. By the way, the Jags have not allowed an opening drive touchdown now for 21 straight games. That defense is that good.
And I thought it was funny when Bill O'Brien talked about bringing Doug Marrone into this division, and now that he's here, he's kind of following suit with what Mike Mularkey's done in Tennessee, what he's trying to do in Houston. This is becoming a very physical division. Very good defense, strong running games, so kind of fitting right in with what the other teams are doing here in the AFC South.
Fuller in motion after a 4-yard pickup. Yates to throw from the pocket, and incomplete. He got knocked down. It'll be third down at 6.
And that's what you have to do. You see the offensive lineman, you have to keep your head on a swivel because there's 5 of you and you're going to get off levels. There's going to be times when you're free and you can't just stand there. You've got to be able to surveil what's going on in the pocket and help out. Watch Calais Campbell. He's got a win right there. Here comes the guy inside out to help out. That's what this offensive line has to do against this Jaguar front.
Keep a lot of people in to block, send a few out on third down. Blue, the back. Yates is sacked. Calais Campbell with 13 and a half.
Now, they struck gold when they brought in Calais Campbell in free agency because a lot of times you bring a guy in and you want production, but he's brought production, he's brought leadership, and again, just a little bit of confusion there. You bring a little bit of pressure, and you can see Xavier Suafilo kind of pass that off. He lets Calais Campbell go.
Blackler to punt. Mickens. And a big punt return last week against Seattle to set up an easy score. Slips a tackle and gets up out across the 22-yard line. Second offensive series for the Jags. Their defense just keeps trucking. Tom Savage, you started the season at quarterback. Of course, Deshaun Watson's injury inactive today, along with Leonard Fournette, who is looking on. Chris Ivory has taken over that spot for Jacksonville in the backfield. At first down, Bortles to throw under pressure, and Mercedes Lewis with a catch across the 30. He's the only Jacksonville Jags still active from the last playoff team.
Yeah, I expect him to have a good day today. One of the areas you'll see this Texans defense struggle a little bit is the middle of the field. If you can get some matchups with the linebackers, maybe even some of the safeties carrying down toward the middle of the field, Mercedes Lewis could have a nice afternoon.
12-year veteran, and he was bragging about his blocking last week. He didn't come up with any big catches, but blocked so well against Seattle and the defensive front.
Green 80. Green inside.
They need a yard. Bortles throws for it and gets it. James O'Shaughnessy with a first down across the 45. I was going to ask you how they would adjust without their leading rusher. Fournette's a near 1,000-yard rusher, but this is one way to do it.
Well, everybody wants to stop this Jacksonville run game, and Leonard Fournette is a very key piece of that. But you mentioned they've gone 2-0 with him out of the lineup, and I think the one thing that they definitely miss is the big play. He's got a 90-yard run, a 75-yard run this season, so that huge splash play that Leonard brings.
Ivory gets to midfield and into Houston territory. Jacksonville leads the NFL in rushing, averaging 150 yards a game, and certainly goes well with a defense that's as dominant as this team has. That's the reason the Jags are 9-4.
You want to be able to control the flow of the game, and that's doing it through the running game and the line of scrimmage, whether it's the defensive side of the ball, putting pressure on that quarterback and controlling the run, or for the Jags offense to be able to get Chris Ivory going here this afternoon and then allow Blake Bortles to use that play action off of it.
Ivory does have a 34-yard run this season.
Green inside.
Bortles to throw. Open. He's got the rookie, D.D. Westbrook. Looks like he's fighting for that first down with 3 Texans around him. And Westbrook, who missed the first 9 games with an injury, has been the top target of Bortles since he returned and got the first down.
That's one of the things that this offense has grown, an area that they have grown in a situation where, hey, Leonard Fournette's not going to be in the lineup today. You know, what are we going to do? I think that this offense is getting to the point now with Blake Bortles as quarterback and some of these skill guys having some time together that they feel very comfortable throwing the football.
Green 80. Green inside.
Ivory carries. Chris Ivory's second season with the Jags. He was with the Jets and Saints and had a season-high 70 yards in Week 9. Last week, he had the big run against Seattle. Let's check in with Laura.
Going back to how this offense is adjusting, you guys, I talked to offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett, who said it's not their job, it's our job as a coach to adjust. You're never going to have a healthy starter from Week 1 the whole season long. You coach everyone as starters. Nothing changes today. Running backs, wide receivers. We believe in the system. We believe in what we're doing.
TJ Yeldon is in now at running back on 2nd and 7. Bortles in the pocket, dumps it off, and Yeldon gets down to the 32. And that's enough for another Jacksonville first down. Let's get a game break. Say hi to Carissa Thompson.
Hello, Chris Myers. So we go to Carolina. Panthers' first possession of the game. Cam Newton finds Christian McCaffrey after a monster drive. McCaffrey had 9 touches, 60 yards of that for a 7-yard score. Panthers lead this one 7-0. Of course, Aaron Rodgers back at it. Chris?
All right, thanks. Chris enjoyed your conversation with A.J. Boye of the Jags earlier today on the pregame show on Fox. We'll be keeping an eye on Rodgers and the Pack against Carolina all afternoon. Bortles wide open. Mercedes Lewis. He's near another first down. You said last week it was the best you saw Blake Bortles play in a long time, and he's picked right up where he left off in that game against Seattle.
You know, by far the best game he's played this season, and a lot of people are saying maybe the best game his career here as a Jaguar quarterback. And I thought the opponent, who he was playing against, the big stage, kind of a big stage here, you know, at the stadium, and I thought that Blake Bortles was outstanding. I thought he was great in the pocket, good decision making, a lot of trust in his offensive line.
Ivory waits and gets the first down to the 15-yard line. A patient runner on that play. We have an injured player, and it's Marquise Lee, who leads the team in catches. Remember, they're already without Allen Hurns today, and Allen Robinson was hurt week 1. We will check on the injury respectfully. Marquise Lee, a leg injury, getting helped off the field and to the locker room. Already thin at that position because of injury from the 15-yard line. Bortles on this drive, 5 out of 5. Fakes to Ivory. Escapes. And is safe with it. Bortles came in with 16 touchdowns and 8 interceptions for this season, so that's a 2-to-1. Even I can figure the math on that. That's a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He's yet to do that for a full season. This is 4th in the NFL.
And one of the big areas he's really improved at is down here in the red zone. No red zone interceptions and great decisions right there. You know, that's you get to the outside, there's nothing there, just throw it away. Don't run out of bounds and make it 2nd and 12. Throw it away. Take advantage of the rules.
Ivory on 2nd and 10, tripped up, and he might lose a half a yard. Excellent defense, Marcus Gilchrist from the safety spot.
And one of the things you have to do when you're on the field, you always want to keep your feet moving, and Marquise Lee is going to get the left foot up, but he's not going to get the right one, and it gets rolled up, it gets trapped, and hopefully he's going to be okay, but that looked pretty serious.
And ankle, and Laura will be watching this. So right now with him out, they have D.D. Westbrook, Keelan Cole, and Jaden Mickens. Larry Pinkard is inactive along with Allen Hurns. 3rd and 11. Bortles, end zone, flagged out. Oh, and he almost made the catch. Jaden Mickens diving for that, incomplete. We'll check the penalty flag.
Pass interference. Number 30. Defense. Automatic. First down.
And that's on Kevin Johnson. That's been a problem for him. 3rd-year player from Wake Forest. Let's check the call, exactly what we saw.
We're going to get D.D. Westbrook on the outside. He's really trying to talk to his point. I don't know what he's thinking right there. I mean, that's an easy call for the officials. And
a nice try by Mickens.
That's where it will be 1st and goal.
On a 3rd down play, a major penalty sets up Jacksonville. You know, and this is where letting A.J. Boye get away from Houston. Rick Smith paid a lot of money, but that's a mistake Boye is making him pay for on a regular basis. In that Texans secondary, they miss him. 3 receivers to the top of your screen. Chris Ivory, and to the goal line. Kept out by that Texan group up front. And looks like Jadeveon Clowney.
Oh boy.
He came in a little beat up. He's been playing hurt, and he stands up holding that right arm.
J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, you've got guys on this defense that can kind of take over a game. Jadeveon Clowney is the last guy left like that, and this would just be devastating down the stretch to lose your three biggest playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to be right here. Let's see if he gets like a pinch nerve. Sometimes you come in, you get a collision, and you get that burner down your arm.
9 sacks. It's a career best already in his 4th year. Pro Bowler last year. And they lost 4 starters on defense already this year to go with the offensive injuries we have addressed. And he'll head to the Texans sideline. Physical defensive coordinator Mike Vrabel.
That makes his job a lot harder this afternoon, because that was the one guy, hey, we're going to move him through that front and see if we can get a favorable matchup.
Challenge gets bigger on 2nd and goal. Chris Ivory into a wall, and the Texans keep him out of the end zone.
Great job by the Texans front right there. This is hard down here when you get into the goal line. It gets real simple. It's really matchup versus matchup. Who's going to do their job? Who's going to win their battle? Look at the Texans push that offensive line backwards. They won and controlled the line of scrimmage.
Joel Heath helping out. DJ Reader, who also moved from the nose with the injuries to J.J. Watt and Covington, has played well. The raving reviews from the coaching staff, and now it's 3rd and goal after a couple of rush attempts straight at it. Extra lineman has come in. Inside handoff. Tommy Bohannon, touchdown Jacksonville. Give it to the fullback.
It's a good changeup down on the goal line, because the fullback is going to hit the line of scrimmage so much quicker than the I-back. When you're talking about 7 yards deep, that play takes a while to develop. Watch how quick Tommy Bohannon is right here.
Pro Bowl candidate at the fullback position. He probably doesn't know what to do with the ball a lot. Gives it to the official.
No. We know what to do. It's an unwritten rule as a fullback. You don't celebrate. You don't spike. You hand the football to the official.
How would you know? Oh, that's
very
right.
Barry Sanders-ish.
Act like you've been there before. Bohannon has not this year. It's only his 10th touch. He does a lot of the dirty work. There's a flag down on that extra point. On a 3rd and goal, Marone gave it to the fullback, who punched it in. And now we've got a flag here on the extra point.
Two fouls by the defense on the play. Illegal formation. There were more players than 6 on one side of the formation. That penalty's declined. 12 players were on the field. That penalty will be accepted and enforced on the kickoff.
Tommy Bohannon, his first career rushing touchdown. That's worth celebrating, fullback or not, and Jacksonville leads at home. 78-yard drive, nearly 7 minutes. And Tommy Bohannon in his 4th year, back in the NFL after sitting out all of 2016. His only other touchdown came week 1 on a catch against Houston. And this will be a touchback. The kickoff when they tack on the penalty after the extra point was good. And for the Texans, a review of their season. The rookie Deshaun Watson took over at starting quarterback for Savage after the week 1 loss. Led the offense to 35 points, a good record before injuries hit Watson and J.J. Watt out for the year. In the 6 games since losing Watson, averaging just 16 a game, and now they're going to finish with their first losing record since 2013 and the first under Bill O'Brien.
And that's the best place to start, is the injuries that have hit this team. And there's a saying in football, you can't use injuries as an excuse, but it sure is a reason why this team has had the record it's had.
And that's the best offensive play of the day for the Texans. Lamar Miller, who's been battling a knee injury, and gets a good chunk and a first down up to the 36-yard line.
And that is the one area when you've got such an aggressive athletic defense, you hope to be able to do some good things in the running game. And some teams have had success, but the first time Houston played, they did not have Marcel Darius inside. He's inside there right now at that left tackle spot.
It's Miller again, up to the 39. It's been a while, this running game. Miller's had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons, but they haven't even had a 100-yard rusher in some 16 games, going back to when Miller did it against the Colts. Miller averaging a career low for him at 3.6 a carry. He's a good receiver. Hadn't dropped a pass in 2 years as a member of the Texans. They're going to need Yates to step up big, one way or another. Sideline throw and the coverage. Ramsey with a blanket on Hopkins.
This is going to be a great matchup to watch. Again, they've got Jalen Ramsey trailing DeAndre Hopkins all day. And there was a lot of discussion this week. They talked to Coach Marone, and he wouldn't go out and say it. He's like, you know what, I put him 1 and 2 with another guy out there in the NFL that's playing. Obviously, that's Antonio Brown up in Pittsburgh. You watch both of these guys. I think because DeAndre Hopkins has had so many different quarterbacks this year, I'm going to give the nod to him because he's fantastic on the sideline. You can throw him a quick screen. He can take it to the house. He's fantastic on a contested catch. I think he's playing the best right now in the NFL because everybody knows the ball's coming to him.
If the quarterback can get it away, it's loose. Ball comes out when Yates was sacked. Texans are on it, and give Campbell and Malik Jackson credit for converging on TJ Yates, who was trying to get the ball to Hopkins.
And again, it's the ability of this team. They can line up, they can show you pressure, and then they can just kind of pull out. They're green dogging you a little bit. They get everybody thinking and talking. That creates the one-on-one matchup. And whether it's Calais Campbell, Yannick Ngakoue, they've got guys, Malik Jackson, they've got multiple guys up front that can win one-on-one.
Shane Leckler.
That's low. That's what we call a boomerang punt.
And Mickens is already to the 25, and up the sideline he goes. Jaden Mickens hesitates and loses the football. Jacksonville got it back. He hesitated to try to put a move on. It looked like Corey Grant came up with a recovery, and he did for Jacksonville.
Yeah, this ball got there very, very quick. And Shane Leckler did not get any hang time out. That's what we call them boomerang punts because they come right back at you.
But Leckler forced the fumble.
That's a great job by Shane Leckler getting back into this because you watch right here. Does he stay in? It looks like he may have stepped out right there if Houston wants to throw the challenge. But that's a great job. There comes Shane Leckler in right there. And it actually, Alfred Blue hits the fumble.
I thought Leckler was there, but Blue caused it after a 58-yard punt. And looks like we are going to have a challenge here.
Jackson, Houston is challenging that the return player stepped out of bounds. We'll review the play.
And I think Houston's going to win this challenge. Don't know how far back this is going to go, but it did look like Jaden Mickens stepped out of bounds on that sideline.
This was before the fumble and Jacksonville recovery.
So he's coming up to the 40-yard line right now. Still in on that foot. I think it's that one right there
that
at the 41-yard line. Really looks like
the white shoe on the white sideline marking. Mickens is a guy who worked his way up from the practice squad. Had been a couple of months ago was sleeping in his car trying to save money for a place to live, and has been the star punt returner twice at AFC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman do the radio here, former Jaguar players, and talk to Jeff Lageman on the field. He mentioned that story to me in the entire offseason. Jaden Mickens was staying in his car. He wasn't sure if he was going to make it.
After review, the return team player did step out of bounds at the 41-yard line. The ball will be placed there, 1st and 10. Please set the game clock to 1:44. Houston will not be charged with a timeout. Thank you.
So it's a 26-yard return. Smart challenge by Bill O'Brien to push them back to the Jacksonville 41. Pretend like the fumble never happened. Jacksonville takes over with a 7-0 lead.
Green 80. Green shot.
Chris Ivory for a couple.
Nice job.
And good news for Texans fans, Jadeveon Clowney back out there on the field playing that right defensive end. And you think about him as a pass rusher, an elite pass rusher in this league, but you watch him on film, and he's really, really good against the run as well. He's really becoming, that great two-way player, not only good at putting pressure on the quarterback, but stuffing the run to his side.
Last week against the 49ers, had 6 hits on the quarterback. He makes you pay whether he sacks you or not.
Green shot.
Bortles to throw, backpedaling, and he's got it. Keelan Cole inside the 15 of Houston.
I mean, a tremendous throw by Blake Bortles. Going to go a deep over route, going to come all the way over the top. Not a lot of margin for error there. You can see it go right up over the top of Kevin Johnson. That's a great throw by Blake Bortles, who was really kind of under pressure and drifting backwards in the pocket.
I mean, Keelan Cole, a 42-yard gain. He had a 75-yard touchdown catch last week. Ivory threw a big hole and gets down to around the 10 before he's shoved back. And Clowney started it as the first quarter winds down. Jacksonville in control of the division. A win puts them in the playoffs. And in control of this game at the end of one quarter, they lead the Texans. Fox NFL Sunday continues. We're glad you're watching from Jacksonville. Talk about Doug Marone's dominant defense, the offense dominating this game as well.
When you have a defense that's gaining so much attention nationally, that offense is going to fall, into the shadows a little bit. This is a very productive offense the last month of the season, and it's a great complement to that aggressive style of defense that they play here.
Bortles gets rid of that one. Clowney put the pressure on. Daryl Johnston, Laura Oakman, Chris Myers. Glad you're watching this AFC South clash here on Fox.
And you're just going to have to be able to handle him one-on-one. Cam Robinson, that rookie left tackle, and he's out there one-on-one. You got to earn your stripes there. Keep your quarterback clean. You don't want all of a sudden with one guy out there, all of a sudden you've got to make changes to your plan. And hey, we got to put tight ends there and chip and everything. Let's see if the young guy can grow a little bit today and battle one of the better pass rushers in the league.
Third down at 5. Yelled in the back. Bortles with time. End zone throw. Incomplete. There's a flag down. He was trying to go to D.D. Westbrook, and it looked like somebody held him from getting to where he wanted to be.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 21, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Top of the bunch formation out to the left. Gets that break inside, just a little hook and pull.
Fresh set of downs for Jacksonville. Trying to add to their 7-0 lead here in the second quarter. And DJ Reader has come back out onto the field for the Texans. Bortles, the pass is complete. Jaden Mickens. Touchdown Jacksonville. A good story gets even better for Jaden Mickens.
I think Jacksonville is catching Houston off guard with some of their formations down here in the red zone. You're expecting more of a run game type of approach, and they're coming out, they're breaking the huddle with 3 wide receivers and I think in that situation right there, Marcus Gilchrist right here, it's 3 receivers on the outside. He's trying to coordinate everything. They've got you 3-on-2 right there. Andre Hall late getting out to help out. That's easy for Jacksonville.
And all scoring plays to be confirmed. Ruled a touchdown. And first touchdown catch for Mickens, who has a punt return for a touchdown this year.
Andre Hall had to come a long way.
The on-field ruling of a touchdown is under review.
They want to be close. We'll check a side angle of that to see if the ball breaks the plane as Mickens is going down to the turf.
I like the play calling down here. He's gotten a little aggressive, Doug Marrone. We talked about the running game component along with this aggressive defense and kind of building it a little bit old school, but they've gotten down into that red zone area, and they're going with 3 wide receiver sets.
See if we can clearly see. Just don't know where the knee is at that point with the bodies blocking. They're showing it here on the big screen. Looks like they should confirm that one based on the visual evidence. There's nothing to overturn it.
I think that one you can kind of see him throw his arms backward to break the plane. He's not down. His knee's not down. It doesn't look like his knee is down at that point. And it's a great effort by Jaden Mickens to kind of throw the ball, throw your arms up going towards the goal line to break that plane.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
And he has to play more with the injury to Marquise Lee, who went out on the opening quarter. He's excited. As we said, an undrafted free agent who said, I came from nothing in the Los Angeles area, and I've been through the worst, but he's come up big for Jacksonville. Having slept in his car at the stadium here until he made the squad. Got a flag down. And now his first touchdown catch here. Bortles using an array of receivers in these last few games. Yeah.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, leverage, number 91. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
They call out Carlos Watkins of the Texans after the Mickens touchdown catch. Now this from Wells Fargo.
My favorite holiday meal is
roasted lamb,
the matzo ball soup,
dumplings.
My mom makes this really horrible green bean casserole.
Dirty tamales.
Food is the way we connect.
To make holiday meals possible for more families, Wells Fargo is collecting donations at our 5,900 branches.
You put a meal in front of somebody, they're happy.
That's been a rough start for the Texans. Meanwhile, 14-0 Jacksonville. And after the penalty, kicking off from midfield now. See if they want to just drive this into the end zone or drop it short and hope to pin them deep. And Chris Thompson is smothered inside the 10. Well, people around the league have noticed the Jacksonville Jags' impressive wins over the Steelers, and last week Seattle. They know what they have to do today to get that first playoff appearance in some 10 years, and they look like they're well on their way.
And I think there was maybe a little bit of concern from some of the fans after the big win against Seattle. How are they going to be coming out here? This is a mature team, and it comes from Doug Marrone and Tom Coughlin, the leadership that they've had there. They're not going to allow this team to look past anybody. They haven't earned anything yet, so they were loose last week against Seattle. They're playing well again here to start this game this afternoon.
Marrone said, look, it's our last regular season home game. It's a division game. Don't ease up. And so far, with now a 14-0 second quarter lead, they have been as impressive as they have been all season long. Alfred Blue carrying for the Texans. And for Bill O'Brien, he's had 9 different starting quarterbacks through his now 4-year run. Contract originally a 5-year deal. Yates having to start out of necessity with injury. And trying to get a 5th win, end of 3-game losing skid. It's Alfred Blue again with nowhere to go.
And this is going to be real tough sledding because right now, Jalen Ramsey is doing a great job on DeAndre Hopkins outside when they've tried to get him involved in the game plan. So they're going to have to kind of steer somewhere else. Can Alfred Blue get the running game going? Can Will Fuller make some plays in the passing game? This is going to be challenging for this Houston offense this afternoon.
I mean, they were hoping for 15 or 20 targets with Hopkins. He's yet to catch a pass. But it's manageable on 3rd and 2. Yates also moves well for a quarterback, capable of running. Haven't seen much of that yet from him here. And he's hit as he throws. And that's a fumble. Miles Jack has it. It's a touchdown for the Jacksonville Jags. Let's see what the ruling on the field. There was no initial indication that it was an incomplete pass. And the Jags alertly went after the loose football. The officials are discussing.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense, who then scored a touchdown.
I'll do the play-by-play, Carl Cheffers. You just make the ruling, right? What an alert play by Miles Jack.
Well, let's take a look at this. In the pocket, the TJ Yates. Again, it's the empty hand coming forward. It really looks to me like the football is still there in his possession, so it is coming forward. I think that this will be overturned from that replay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep,
turnover and touchdown.
Automatically looked at, and they probably should.
Now that one looks a little bit different coming in from the side. Did he start to lose possession when it was in the back? It was in the hand, but had he lost possession, was just pushing that forward.
Mike Pereira, our rules analyst, always tells us that, the hand and the movement forward is a key. Mike Pereira is watching, as he always does, and let's get his insight on how they'll look at this play. Mike?
Yeah, you guys picked it up really right off the bat in that first replay. Certainly looks like that hand is going forward.
The fumble is under review.
Go ahead, Mike.
Looks like it's going forward with control of the ball. It has not got to the point where he's starting to bring it down. You remember the old tuck play. But then that last shot shows that it might be a little loose in his hands, that last replay that we saw. So that's the real focus that they'll be looking on. It's clearly the hand's going forward. It's going to be the issue of control, recognizing that Carl Cheffers called it a fumble on the field, but does he lose control of the ball before the hand starts forward? I think there might be enough there to stay with the call.
Stay with the call, Mike Pereira.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, and again, Mike says this all the time. They try to stay with what was called on the field unless it's clear and obvious. And I think maybe we have to weigh in too much. Did Greg Mance bump into TJ Yates and jar that ball loose before it came forward? I mean, that's going to be the question right there. 65, is it loose right there? I don't know if you can get that information from these replays.
And was Yates trying to hold that ball up because of the rush? And Mike, how important is, because the ruling on the field was fumble, that you stay with the call, right? Clear, obvious if you're going to flip it.
Yeah, well, just remember the assumption when you go to look at the play is
the quarterback's hand was moving forward with control of the ball. It is an incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down. Please put 13-18 on the game clock. 13-18, please.
Mike, go ahead.
It's interesting because you go with the assumption that's called on the field is correct. What is interesting in this play is that Carl Cheffers gets to look at his own play, his own call, and what he may have seen or didn't see. And so, therefore, when he looked at it, he felt like that there was still enough control that it was a forward pass.
Thank you, Mike Pereira. Leckler, 3 punts, all have been 58 yards. And Mickens won't get this one unless he takes it out of bounds. It goes out of bounds. 14-0 Jags, and they're on offense. We'll have more from Jacksonville. Daryl Johnston has talked about the Tom Coughlin, Doug Marrone influence here. Mr. New Generation of Jags, and a win gets him back in the playoffs for the first time in a decade. Quite a turnaround from last year at 3-13. Playing without Leonard Fournette today and losing Marquise Lee to injury. Keelan Cole has a catch near another first down. Laura.
I'm going to update Marquise Lee. He is still in the locker room, could not put any pressure on his leg as he walked in there, needed 2 people helping him. He is questionable with an ankle injury. Defensively for the Jaguars, Dante Fowler Jr. also just left for the locker room. He is nursing a hamstring injury, return questionable, Chris.
Thanks, Laura. The receiver injuries have not affected Bortles. 8 of 11, over 100 yards and a touchdown today. Ivory stopped short of the 48. Let's get a game break. Check in with Kurt Benefield.
Well, the Eagles not getting a break at the Giants. Eli Manning hooking up with Sterling Shepard. Breaks a few tackles. His first touchdown. Shepard sits week 3, 67 yards on the score. Nick Foles at quarterback going to have to do the comeback thing. Down 20-7 right now in the second quarter. Chris.
Thanks, Kurt. And the Eagles the top seed, but the Vikings closing in. They have a big lead over Cincinnati. Titans play later today out at San Francisco. Jacksonville finishes the season against Tennessee. Bortles pass complete again. It's Keelan Cole down the sideline. A flag comes in late.
Well, you used to be able to say when you're going to play Jacksonville, let's just load up the box. Let's stop that running game. We're going to shut the run down. We're going to put the ball into Blake Bortles' hands and see if he can beat us. I don't know if you can do that anymore.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle. Number 24, defense. 15 yards will be added to the end of the play, automatic. First down.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same thing Jonathan Joseph is. Let's see if he gets up around the nameplate or inside the numbers. He's there. He's got the nameplate. And now it has to be a sudden movement down. He got his hand on the nameplate, but I didn't see that sudden movement down to buckle the knees.
Yeah, and it used to be that if the guy had to be pulled down, but then they adjusted it to that so that people would let go. He didn't think he committed the penalty, but it moves Jacksonville inside the 20. Yeldon carries inside the 15. Offensive coordinator Nathaniel, call me Nate Hackett, has done a terrific job with, and you touched on it last week about the footwork of Blake Bortles developing in this his 4th season, but he said he's not, Bortles not a stats guy. He'll do whatever we need to win, running, handing off, but he has been the commander of this ship going in the right direction.
Yeah, now that's Nathaniel. Call me Nathaniel because of my grandfather will get upset if you don't call me Nathaniel Hackett. I have to check with him last week. Prefer Nate or Nathaniel? You better do Nathaniel. My grandfather will be mad.
His players call him Nate. At least Bortles does. On the move, Bortles out of bounds. Of course, Paul Hackett, long-time assistant coach in the NFL. And Hackett from the Bill Walsh tree of offense.
And here's the other thing that goes on when you play against Jacksonville is this passing game starts to. Nathaniel Hackett this is year 1 with the system that he wanted to put in. It's the old Bill Walsh, San Francisco 49er offense from his dad, Paul Hackett. And these guys are just really getting their exposure to it this year for the first time. So they're in this growing process. And one of the elements that you have to account for, not just the short passing game, but also the athletic ability of Blake Bortles when it breaks down.
In the red zone twice, and they've been able to get 2 touchdowns, Darrell, on 3rd down here. A lot of time. Catch made. Another touchdown, Jaden Mickens. And whatever Nate, Nathaniel, Bortles, Mickens, Hackett, Jacksonville producing results.
What just a great story about Jaden Mickens. You touched on it in the offseason, working through OTAs. He's kind of living out of his car because he doesn't have the money to spend, on getting an apartment, and he's not sure what his future is. I think he can maybe be a little bit more certain about what he's going to be. I mean, this has been great. You love to see guys take advantage of an opportunity presented to them.
That's now 18 touchdown passes for Blake Bortles, and 2 of them have gone to Mickens, who didn't have any prior to this game. Jacksonville closer to securing a playoff spot with a 21-0 second quarter lead. Capping the drive, Jacksonville touchdowns on 3 straight possessions, the last 2 to Mickens, and Alberto Iveron called from the league office confirming clarification, nameplate or above, legs buckle on the horse collar. So an accurate call by the officiating crew here, just so we're all clued in. Touchback. And Houston on offense. Get ready for bowl season. College football next Wednesday. The Foster Farms Bowl. Arizona going up against Purdue on Fox. And the next Thursday, Washington State against Michigan State. That'll be in the Holiday Bowl. You'll see that on FS1. 10 total yards of offense for the Texans from their own 25-yard line. Yates, Hopkins, his hands all over that. That's his first catch of the game, and it should be enough. We'll see the spot, but with 2 Jags around him.
And this is just great competition on the outside. It's good coverage by Jalen Ramsey, and it's a great catch by DeAndre Hopkins. And one thing that everybody talks about is his strength in his hands, the ability to possess the ball immediately when it arrives. There's no double catches. There's no 2 touches. Once it hits his hands, he establishes control immediately.
Leads the NFL in touchdowns with 11. He's second in yards and second in catches as Lamar Miller carries. That's, again, his first catch, his 89th catch of this season. Hopkins has the extremely, they all have gloves here, but an extremely large palm, which he pointed out, which helps him kind of swallow the ball with his fingers, but he said he does drills to make sure that the fingers are strong enough. She said those hands to grasp the football. And Hopkins make that Miller takes the direct snap and gets a first down. Alfred Blue, the running back. And a first down for the Texans. And Hopkins, you thought he was the best considering the different quarterbacks he's worked with, but he's certainly among the best.
An outstanding group right there. But when you look at Antonio Brown, and he's had Ben Roethlisberger all season, he's got Le'Veon Bell that people have to worry about as well. There's a lot of other things in that offense, and he's put up great numbers. But with number 10, hey, if you want to beat the Texans right now, all we got to do is stop number 10, and he's still producing.
On first down, Yates open, and the catch is made by Will Fuller, and they're thin. Braxton Miller is inactive, and at tight end, Michael Pruitt hurt his calf late in Friday's practice, so they're thin with just 1 tight end, Steven Anderson. But Fuller helping out on the other side of DeAndre Hopkins.
And one of the things you heard Laura talk about, that Santo that DeAndre Hopkins is battling, and he didn't practice all week, but what that allowed TJ Yates to do was to build some chemistry with the other guys. I think he feels comfortable with his chemistry with DeAndre Hopkins, so it was good for him to be able to throw to the other guys.
After a pickup of 15, Miller into a crowd. Laura?
And going back to Hopkins, I asked him about that conversation you brought up, Daryl, how much of it should be about how many quarterbacks he's had when it comes to great receivers. He said, I think it's the biggest part of it. I didn't even realize it until last week when I thought, you know what, this isn't normal. So I called my mom and thanked her for raising me not to give up. He told me I'd never had back-to-back quarterbacks. It's taught me patience in football and in life.
Going up against the defense here, Dante Fowler has come back out on the field for Jacksonville. Catch made. That's Fuller again. You know, Fuller came in with just 20 catches, but 7 of them good for touchdowns. Certainly capable when healthy. He battled a collarbone injury in the preseason and then missed 3 games with a rib injury.
And being able to have that number 2, that complementary receiver on the other side, especially when you're playing a team like Jacksonville that has A.J. Boye on the other side. We're talking about this great battle, Jalen Ramsey versus DeAndre Hopkins. They got another pretty good corner on the other side. So you need to be able to offset that with another productive number 2 receiver. So getting Will Fuller back, getting him healthy is big for this offense.
Here comes a flag on 3rd down.
False start, number 79, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
That's the 7th penalty on the Texans. Jeff Allen called for the infraction.
And again, margin for error, injuries, the way they've hit this Houston team, your margin for error shrinks down. So these penalties have been really difficult for this group to overcome this afternoon.
Yates tug at his jersey and almost threw it into the arms as Dante Fowler got to Yates. Just threw it into the arms of a member of Jacksonville, and that's 4th down. Yeah, looks like they're out there to line up as if to go for it. We're going to play the percentages here and send out the punter. But it has to be frustrating for a guy like Hopkins, who said, yeah, when I asked about him, I asked him, great numbers losing season. He said, bittersweet. He said, more bitter.
Yeah, not a whole lot of sweet there. Yeah,
certainly
great guy.
Done his part. Fair catch called for. Jacksonville, 6 minutes to go before the half, just over that with a 21-0 lead, and they're enjoying good times here in Northeast Florida. Blake Bortles backed up at the 8-yard line.
Down. Green 80.
Couple of touchdown passes already. And Chris Ivory into a crowd. Carissa Thompson has a game break. Carissa?
Sure do, Chris. We head to New Orleans. Saints up 10-7 in the second when Drew Brees finds a familiar target. Alvin Kamara for a 10-yard score. Saints lead this one 17-7. Chris?
The NFC South, a lot going on there with Atlanta playing Monday night. Carolina, you see where they are in the standings, and right now the Panthers with a 3-point lead at home against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Bortles floats this one to an open area, and Keelan Cole has it.
Well, I tell you what, if you're going to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, you better learn how to defend the deep over route, because Blake Bortles is really getting comfortable making this throw. Pushing into the inside, now you're coming back to the outside. I mean, you've got good coverage underneath. He's dropped a couple of these in over the top in some pretty good coverage.
A gain of 31 yards. Bortles said, I know it now, the offense. I'm comfortable. I have to take a deep breath, kind of let it unfold. And he pointed out the London game against Baltimore. It all really kind of clicked for him in this offense. Here comes a flag. Speaking of clicking or not clicking.
False start, number 65. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's on the center, Brandon Linder. But when we say he's not about stats, as his offensive coordinator said, his best year was when Bortles had the 35 touchdowns back in 2015, ranked second in the touchdown pass department. But he said, I'll take this winning season and whatever numbers come with it. Sharing the running game. And Ivory spins outside for a first down. He's up with the penalty to the 42-yard line. Correction on that.
A nice spin move. Chris Ivory, very downhill physical runner, but showing you he's still got some great feet. Watch it right here. Gets pressed to the outside. Here comes your secondary run support. Makes Kevin Johnson miss right there.
Jacksonville's the only team in the league that runs the ball more than half of their plays. At least that was their number coming into the game. After a pickup of 7, Bortles underneath to Keelan Cole. Need to get to the 49 of Houston for a first down. And the offensive players, the young players, you look at the rookies. Fournette, the top pick. D.D. Westbrook, the 4th rounder from Oklahoma. Cole, the free agent from Kentucky Wesleyan. And Cam Robinson, 2nd rounder from Alabama.
And he's doing a nice job out there on the edge. He's had Jadeveon Clowney a couple of times one-on-one. He's done a nice job. And one of the guys I'm sure he's going to lean on here, we mentioned Tony Baselli, still down in this area. I'd be picking his brain every opportunity I could.
Cole over 100 receiving yards already. Ben Koyak, the tight end. Kevin Johnson got him by the ankles, and that'll bring out the punting unit.
I know that Blake Bortles talked to us about being a little bit more uncluttered and not overthinking it. I think he's getting really close with that. I mean, he's been very, very decisive in this game. And going back to last week against Seattle, he was very decisive with his decisions.
Fuller at the 20 of Houston. They'll take over trailing 21-0. Under 3 minutes to go before the half. Jacksonville defensive coordinator Todd Wash, the eyes of a Seattle-style defense, making it work Jacksonville's way. The #1 defense in the NFL. Texans trying to get on the board here in the first half. Low throw incomplete for Hopkins. Ramsey and Hopkins.
Well, this is going to be a fun one to watch over the next couple of years, and kind of a little slow start over there. That's rare. Everybody, take a look at this. If it touches his hands, it's usually complete. So,
and Ramsey said, he always takes the top receiver, and he talks a lot. He says no elite corner plays without trash talking. That's part of his game, part of what he thinks the great ones do. Fuller in motion. Lamar Miller nowhere against this defense that is proud of the nickname Saxonville. You have to build a nickname. They build a defense. First round picks. Ramsey, one of those we were just referring to from outside. Bringing a guy like Malik Jackson from Denver. A.J. Boye from the Texans. Barry Church from Dallas. Some of the lower round picks, undrafted players that have had an influence already in the results. Most sacks, fewest points allowed in the NFL. Also the most takeaways. Third down and 8. Yates dumps it off. There's a flag down. Miller rushed back from the 20-yard line. There's some of that talking going on. Well, Ramsey will talk to anybody, even the guy that he's not assigned to cover.
It was a use of hands to the face, number 79. That penalty's declined. 4th down. This is a 2-minute warning at 1:59.
Jacksonville, they look tough, don't they? 21-0. Moving in on a secured playoff spot and toward the AFC South Division title. Shane Leckler back to punt to Jaden Mickens, who has 3 returns for 31 yards. Mickens also has 2 catches and 2 touchdowns. And he's up across the 40, giving Jacksonville excellent field position. Piece of halftime report coming up. They'll have the latest highlights from around the league. Packers have gone in front of Carolina. The Vikings getting closer to clinching the NFC North. Cleveland losing again. Can they go the entire season winless? We have a flag down.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 9, kicking team. This is his first foul in regard to disqualification.
Shane Leckler, the punter.
You know it's a bad day when your punter gets an unsportsmanlike conduct. Now let's see if there's a little bit of contact here on the punt. You got a guy coming up the middle, and we got a little bit of a grab there. Everything's kind of good. Carroll Phillips, and I don't know if now the conversation comes right back to the official. I think
it didn't look like Phillips did anything out of line there. Leckler's been around a while and didn't like it, but he got called for the penalty. Another penalty. That's 8 for nearly 80 yards on the Texans, and at the 45 of Houston. Jacksonville with Bortles, just one of the few passes he has misfired on in the area of Keelan Cole.
And that's that route that he's been really good on, whether it's come from the opposite side of the field across the same side of the field into the middle and then bent back out, but kind of that route that ends with that kind of deep over progression.
Bortles without his top 2 receivers, one inactive to start. Marquise Lee injured early, but he's 13 of 17. You see the numbers, 2 touchdown tosses.
Down. Green 80. Green inside.
D.D. Westbrook, first down and inside the 33 of Houston.
He just picked up right where he left off last week against Seattle, and you can see whether it's out on the move in the pocket. This was a tremendous throw. You can see him drifting backwards right over the top. But I think it's decision making. The ball's coming out very quick. he talked to us about kind of growing and maturing in this offense and kind of getting a clear head and not overthinking with a bunch of clutter that's there. And I think you're starting to see some strides last week. And again, here following it up, really going all the way back 2 weeks ago to Indianapolis, to Seattle, and now again here this afternoon.
7 different receivers he's connected with today. And again, he's without his leading rusher, Leonard Fournette. Wants a timeout. Jacksonville will have 2. Let's check in, see what Kurt Menefee is up to in Los Angeles.
Coming up on the Visa halftime, we got Sunday afternoon fever as the Ravens, Dolphins, and Bills all try to stay alive in the playoff race. Put on your dancing shoes. The Visa halftime is coming up.
Menefee Travolta covering a lot of ground as they'll have all the highlights coming up on the Visa halftime.
If he's going to reference Saturday Night Fever, he's got to do his famous John Travolta move there.
Could have had the suit on and the high shoes. After the timeout, Jacksonville has led from the start, trying to get more. Incomplete. James O'Shaughnessy, one of the tight ends behind Mercedes Lewis, the target.
And I think really the protection up front has been very sound. One of the things that goes unnoticed is, the tight ends and the running backs, working in conjunction with your offensive line. TJ Yeldon has had a really nice afternoon so far here in the first half in his blitz protection. So really kind of creating a niche for himself there. He'll definitely be a guy that they'll lean on third downs and passing situations moving forward.
He's in now on 2nd and 10. Blitz coming, and they have it set up nicely. It's a screen to Yeldon with blockers. He's inside the 20 and a first down, Jacksonville.
And it's hard because you're in that screen element, and how much do I block my guy to slow him down? I don't want to get disrupted. I don't want to not be able to become a part of that screen element. And again, that's TJ Yeldon with a great field, bypassing the blitzer, getting into the area for that screen pass.
Without a huddle, just over a minute and 2 timeouts. Bortles incomplete. And let's see, there is no flag. Kareem Jackson on the coverage. Let's get a game break with Carissa.
Thanks, Chris. We head to Buffalo. Bills up 14-6 in the second quarter when Tyrod Taylor decides to take it in himself. A 9-yard run has his team up 20-6. Remember, Bills currently in the 6th seed. Back to you, Chris.
And could knock out the Dolphins, who had that big win over the Patriots on Monday night. New England plays the Steelers later today in a showdown of the top 2 seeds in the AFC. Jacksonville could get all the way to 2, maybe even 1, the way that they have played and the way things sort out. Quick pass with the pressure coming. It'll be 3rd down. Eddie Pleasant on a safety blitz, and this is the way the AFC playoff picture coming into Sunday after the Chargers got beat in Kansas City. Chiefs leaders in the West. Of course, Jacksonville will ultimately decide things with Tennessee when those two meet to close out the regular season as to who gets the division.
Yeah, and that's one of the big motivations right here. If Tennessee wins out, they win the division. They hold the tiebreaker with Jacksonville right now. So that's plenty of motivation for Doug Marrone and his team coming into this game today.
Tennessee at San Francisco later, and they'll host the Rams next Sunday. Bortles is going to not be sacked. He got rid of the ball right where Jackson got to him.
Yeah, but it did get beyond the line of scrimmage. I don't think it got beyond the line of scrimmage.
That's what they're discussing,
like a little
right?
Short.
Yeah, it was kind of a slow dance at the end there.
You see right here at the end as he throws it away, he kind of throws it just sideways, and he's outside the pocket, but he's got to get it beyond the line of scrimmage. For it not to
intentional grounding, the ball would have gone beyond the line of scrimmage had it not been touched. 4th down.
So the ball was touched. The clarification. Thank you, Carl Jefferson. Josh Lambo, 16 out of 17 in the field goal department. In his 3rd year for Texas A&M. He got it, but it's 24-0 Jacksonville. These two teams from the Did You Know department, cities in the contiguous United States with the largest land area in terms of square miles. Jacksonville is #1. And Houston is up there as well. They rank 5th Of course, Darrell knew that Montana had 2 in the top 5, but that's a lot of ground to cover.
Well, I have a friend in Anaconda, Montana, so
I hope it clears up. So they compete for a lot of different things in the AFC South, and last couple of years what Bill O'Brien has done with the Texans and a winning record getting them into the playoffs, but it's Jacksonville's year this year along with the Tennessee Titans, and 2 games to go after this one in the regular season. And as Bill O'Brien said, injuries are part of the game, but when you have them to key stars, 1, maybe 2, you can hang in there. When it's 3, 4 down the list, quarterback, key pass rusher, missing J.J. Watt early. Tough for the Texans. Tonight, Christmas comes early. The most beloved Christmas movie of all time, the season's biggest television event from the network that brought you Grease live. It's A Christmas Story Live tonight at 7, 6 Central on Fox. I want to shout out, if I could, Darrell, to Memorial Hermann Hospital in Houston, Texas. My son needed surgery recently, and Dr. James Muntz, the neurosurgeon, Dr. Don Kim, and the great Houston Chronicle writer John McClain helping coordinate for my family and my son. We appreciate that. Yates is throwing and incomplete. And thanks to the crew and you and everybody here on our crew for being supportive at a tough time for my son and family, and the great medical staff there did an outstanding job helping us pull through when we needed it most.
Absolutely. We got to tap into the power of prayer every once in a while, Chris. And glad we could help you out and get you through those few days down in Houston. And best wishes to Alex moving forward.
He's doing okay. And John McClain, the longtime football writer, Houston Chronicle, doing a lot of good for a lot of people. Yates to throw, and incomplete, gets rid of it.
Yeah, Houston's got to be real careful. I'm really surprised to see this approach at 24. And if I'm Bill O'Brien, I just might want to get out of this first half at 24, because Jacksonville's got 2 timeouts. They have done some amazing things at the end of halves. The last minute of a half, the last 2 minutes of a half, with this defense and the offense, there has been some big points scored here. This is going to be interesting to see if Doug Marrone and his group can make a stop here, get the ball back, and get more points before the end of the first half.
On 3rd and 10, Jacksonville 24 points, Darrell, most in the first half this year. They had 23 against Baltimore. That was the game that Blake Bortles said the offense clicked so well. For Hopkins, and is that another takeaway? Barry Church has it, and Jacksonville with the interception.
Here's a little bit of a change-up for you. You can't just go with Jalen Ramsey all the time, so now you got a little bit of coverage. You're going to put A.J. Boye down here. Here's Barry Church walked up into the front, so he's going to drop out to play the deep half. You're going to try to get that outside breaking route. He reads the quarterback's eyes, overthrown a little bit, and there for the interception.
And that's 31 takeaways, adding to their league lead, Darrell, and they're the only team in the league that has 3 players with 4 interceptions or more. Yates leaving that one in the air, and it has been confirmed as a takeaway. And with that takeaway, the Jags now have a new team record.
Down. 380. 3 to 7.
And Bortles once more open. A fingertip grab. Jaden Mickens.
This kid is having a day. It's so good. We talked about somebody stepping up and taking advantage of the opportunity. You got the injury to Marquise Lee earlier in the game, and Jaden Mickens is taking advantage of extra snaps at the wide receiver position this afternoon.
His 3rd catch of the game. That one good for 41 yards. Signed as a free agent. Another one of those clever moves by Jacksonville. David Caldwell in the front office. He had 1 catch prior to this game coming in. Had been only the punt returner and special teams player.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's where Blake Bortles frustrated. He could have used a timeout. They have 2 just to prevent the loss of yardage, but the way this team is going doesn't seem to be a problem, at least not today. 30 seconds to go before the half. Bortles, his third touchdown pass of this game. Keenan Cole grabs it in the end zone. There is a flag down back at the 20.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 90, defense. That penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. Ruling on the field is touchdown.
Frustrated Jadeveon Clowney.
Well, we saw it last week with the running game and Leonard Fournette, and they were able to kind of take control of that game against Seattle. This week, it's the passing game. That's where the matchups they like this week. Even with the wide receiver position down a little bit with the injury, Marquise Lee going out early, they still feel confident, and Blake Bortles has had an outstanding first half.
Got a procedure call and a flag down.
False start, number 65, offense. Will attempt to try from the 20-yard line.
They'll have to move Josh Lambo back just a bit. In the meantime, Cole, 6 catches, 113 yards with a touchdown. Mickens has 3 catches and 2 touchdowns. He set it up with a long gainer. And Lambo, he somehow worked that in. Started out a little funny. But when things are going right for you, and that had to go right to get through the uprights. Bortles, 3 touchdown passes, over 245 yards through the air today.
He told us this last week. He said, listen, I'm not motivated to prove people on the outside wrong. I'm motivated to prove the people that believe in me on the inside right. And that's Tom Coughlin, Doug Marrone, Nathaniel Hackett. You know, that's what he's motivated by. He's taken a lot of heat. He's taken a ton of criticism through his career. And the people that know him say it doesn't impact him at all. He had confidence in him. So I'm happy for him this season to see the success that he has had, and hopefully people are going to see the way he has played the last 3 weeks, not just against Indy, and that was the knock, even when he had the great game against Indy. Well, that's the Colts. He always does that. But against Seattle, yeah, the Texans have some injuries, but it's 31-0 in the first half. He came out and he took care of his business.
When you're drafted 3rd overall, you deal with that. And his teammates said in the lean times when things were tough, he never called anybody out, didn't blame anybody, just hung in there. And now, this is the first time, Darryl, that Blake Bortles has thrown 3 touchdowns in the first half of a game. 5 in a game is his career mark. Let's check in with Laura.
And here's what I love. When you talk about that with Blake, and what Darryl's saying about not feeling that pressure from the outside, that's new for him. He said that used to really get to him. That affected him. What changed with him was when he started worrying about the core people he had to impress and nobody else. And you ask anybody on this Jaguar team what they're most excited about right now with where they're headed, where they are, they will say Blake first or second constantly, saying he has put up with so much and he has handled it so beautifully.
From the state of Florida, Oviedo, Florida, it's near Orlando, and has done wonders for Jacksonville this season. Again, the 31 takeaways, setting a new team record. They had exactly 30 takeaways in the previous 4 seasons. The Barry Church pick set up Bortles to add to the lead of 31-0 with a half to go. Let's take a look at some fun from Week 14 with sounds from the field, brought to you by Walmart.com, now offering free 2-day shipping.
We're leaving everything out there on that field today. Keep doing it. We keep moving. We keep moving. We keep moving. That's how big-time teams play in this environment. Give me that real quick. There it is. We just having fun and we working, baby. That's it, baby.
And Jacksonville gets the ball to start the second half. Let's head to Los Angeles. All the highlights and scores in the Visa Halftime Report. Johnson, Chris Myers, welcome back to Jacksonville. Get ready for the start of the second half, and the Texans, who have struggled offensively against the #1 defense in the NFL, get ready to kick off. Blake Bortles, 3 touchdown passes in the first half. The smothering defense of the Jags. And a win puts them in the playoffs. 9-4, 4-9 going at it. This will be Corey Grant from his 5-yard line. And gets up to the 29-yard line. Laura.
I talked to Bill O'Brien, who said pretty much what everybody is thinking, saying it's pretty bad right now. We've got to come out and we just have to get positive yards and manageable third downs. He said he told the guys, treat it like it's 0-0. We all know it's not, but treat it that way. We have to take it one play at a time. On the flip side, I asked Doug Marrone if he needed to say anything to his team about remaining focused for 30 minutes. He said, yes, Daryl, you'll get this, but only because I'm paranoid.
Paranoid with a 31-0 lead, and currently the 3 seed in the AFC playoff picture. It can move up as high as 1. That would take some things to happen as Ivory carries. Remember, he has carried the load on the ground with Leonard Fournette inactive for today's game, but it hasn't had a negative effect. It's the second most points for Jacksonville in the first half of a game ever.
And that's your combination right there. You start off with an offensive stat with 31 points in the first half, and then here comes your defense, the complementary style of this team right now. And don't forget Joe DeCamillis and his aggressive special teams group. This is 3 phases that's going to put pressure on you for 60 minutes.
Chris Ivory follows the crowd up across the 30-yard line.
The paranoia of Doug Marrone could be summed up as the glass is not half full, half empty. You know, that whole question there.
Yeah.
It's not only is it half empty, but it's filled with poison.
I think he's the kind of guy, he'll drink whatever's in that glass. He said he joked about on Friday about, I'm the least fun person you'll ever see, but he's having fun, and he tried to give credit, you know, the culture change, whatever term we want to use, to the player. He said the coaches, we could talk about it. The players are the ones who do it.
He's too young to be a curmudgeon. It's unbelievable.
In his early 50s. Has done a terrific job this season as Bortles avoids the rush.
Look at that.
And dumps the pass to Jaden Mickens. And, you know, that was Doug Marrone said last week. It was early. He was talking to the local media here in Jacksonville early in the week after Seattle. And Bortles did a lot of good things. And Marrone said one of the things I was most proud of was just a play where he tucked the ball away with a rush in the pocket and protected the football, was able to complete a pass. Those are the things I noticed that were important to me about the development of Bortles.
And it's one of the things that Bill O'Brien really recognized. He's, you know, my time with the Houston Texans playing against Jacksonville, they've always been a team that struggled with the turnover ratio. They've completely flipped the script on that this year. They were usually double digits negative. They lead the NFL this season in a positive way.
Fuller driven back inside his own 5 on the booming punt by Nortman, and a tough hit as he got across the 17-yard line. Make sure he's okay. Lorente McCray on the special teams play for Jacksonville. So early for the dance party, but Jacksonville feeling it. The #1 defense with Ngakoue up front, 11 sacks. Calais Campbell has one today. He's got over 13. Houston's defense forces the 3 and out. Now they try to keep it on the ground with Lamar Miller. Gibson making the play from his safety spot. The only member of that secondary actually drafted the starting group by Jacksonville was Jalen Ramsey from Florida State.
Amazing the way this chemistry is built between this secondary. And I want to go back to what Laura said coming out of halftime with Bill O'Brien. We've got to treat this game like it's 0-0. The reason you have to do that, it's going to be a miracle if you get back into this at 31-31 and everything comes together. You can't afford to allow this defense to get your quarterback hurt.
Catch made by Fuller across the 30 should be enough for a first down.
So come out here like it's 0-0. Let's run the football. Let's try to develop some rhythm in the short passing game. Let's see if we can get some play action. They talked about these corners being very aggressive and biting on things. Can you max protect and get a double move down the field? But I agree with what his approach is in this second half, because the last thing you want to do with their quarterback situation right now is to get TJ Yates knocked out of the game.
Taylor Heineke, who was picked up and added from Old Dominion, who's kicked around with the Vikings and a few other teams. He's the backup. Alfred Blue carries. You know, there's some talk about originally a 5-year contract. Bill O'Brien, this is 4th season and the first losing season that Bill O'Brien has endured. And we've talked about the reality of the injuries and the key players, the impact. But it'd be a mistake to move on from him, even if there is any kind of friction between the front office and him. I mean, when you think about Deshaun Watson, what he did when he was healthy with Bill O'Brien calling the plays and the defense of the Texans, there's a lot of hope there and excitement for the future. And to disrupt that certainly would shake up this organization even more. On 2nd and 8. And we've got a whistle and a flag.
False start, number 79, offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And the biggest thing that derails the season is inconsistency at the most important position on the field, and that's quarterback. And you can see right here, and you mentioned Deshaun Watson, he was fantastic during his stretch. So the potential down the road, what the future of this franchise is going to be when you get that quarterback back, when you get J.J. Watt and Whitney Mercilus back on the edges, along with Jadeveon Clowney. If you can get some stability and keep the guys healthy, it's just been an unusual year, and he's had to navigate some rough seas with the amount of injuries that he has had during the season.
Yeah, frustrated right now. He had to use a timeout, and he's upset about that. Now this from Duracell and Lowe's.
Perfect gift that your family is sure to love.
Get a DeWalt 2-tool 20-volt max combo kit for only $179 at Lowe's.
Yates completes to Lamar Miller after the timeout, works up to the 30-yard line. And for Deshaun Watson, the rookie in his 6 starts, to have been involved in 21 touchdowns, whether you talk about run or pass, I mean, that's where you can take things forward. Bill O'Brien in this game, he's got DeAndre Hopkins, who has just 1 catch, but when you rotate quarterbacks because of injury like Savage and Yates, and he's had a history as the head coach of different quarterbacks for different reasons, it's gotten in the way of success. But Watson, they feel like they found something. Yates airing it out deep, open, he has to wait for the ball, but Hopkins hauls it in. And the whistle, he's down inside the 30. Had he been led on that, Darrell, I think he might have been able to run in for a touchdown.
Again, you've got one guy that you really got to stop, so you put your best guy on him, and it's kind of a little bit of a double move. Not really, but I think that Jalen Ramsey was kind of hanging on that outside move, sitting on something, and they had a vertical route called in that situation. And Jacksonville brought pressure, and Houston did a good job of picking up, giving T.J. Yates the opportunity to stretch the field.
A gain of 40 down to the 30 of Jacksonville. Right away, tackled around the 25. Hopkins back-to-back catches, and there's Ramsey with him.
If Jalen Ramsey could just have a little bit more confidence in his ability on the field, he might be able to raise his level of play. I don't think I've ever sat with somebody that he's got great answers, he's got great responses, and he is just dripping with confidence.
When I asked him about since he talks trash, what's the best thing anybody said back to him, what was his response?
They couldn't talk because they didn't have any good stats. They can't say anything.
A lot of confidence. That was a good idea to have him and A.J. Boye sit down together to talk with us, as they try and keep the Texans out of the end zone and in the area of Hopkins. Just Yates to get rid of that and keep it safe. You talk about the 2 best corners in the game going. Look at the numbers. In fact, Boye has not allowed a touchdown against him this year.
That's impressive. I mean, it's such a luxury. I don't really remember a team that had such a great cornerback combination that you could pair with a great front, where you don't even have to add the 5th and 6th rusher. I mean, their down linemen can get there on their own. So it's such an advantage when you can drop 7 into coverage. You can do all kinds of different things. Todd Wash is so free to create different types of schemes every week to help defend his offenses.
Hopkins for the end zone, leaps for it, and touchdown Texans! DeAndre Hopkins with a tremendous play, and the shutout gone for Jacksonville against Ramsey.
He's so disappointed in himself that he allowed that touchdown catch. It took him 10 seconds to get back up to his feet. It's going to be all the way at the top of your screen with DeAndre Hopkins, but it starts with that protection up front. It's been better here in the second half to start out. Just a good job of stacking that route, and he got on top of Jalen Ramsey, and Barry Church was late getting over to help out.
And Yates with a perfect throw. He said there was one of those last week where he just kind of told Hopkins, go into that area. I'll trust you and I'll get it there. After a slow start, Yates gets it to Hopkins. Texans get a touchdown. Jacksonville still in control of things. The matchup we said we'd be watching throughout the game, Ramsey and Hopkins. And Hopkins, not only does he lead the NFL with 12 touchdown catches, came in, he adds to it, but that's a new Texans season record, breaking his own previous mark of 11 back in 2015. Corey Grant from his 3.5-yard line. Knocked down across the 26-yard line. Let's check in with Carissa and a game break. Carissa?
Thanks, Chris. Let's head to Carolina. Panthers up 17-14 in the third. Cam Newton finds Demir Bird in the back of the end zone. Touchdown called incomplete. Panthers challenge. Call reverse. Panthers lead this one 24-14. Cam has 3 touchdown passes on the day. Chris?
Thank you, Carissa. Keeping an eye on that. The Saints are winning 17-13 against the Jets. They're at home in the NFC South picture. The Falcons play Tampa Bay. John Gruden honored there in Tampa. Buccaneers on Monday night. Catch made. And racing is Keelan Cole. And Keelan Cole inside the 1. McKinney saved a touchdown. But for Cole, he's already had his 3rd straight game with a touchdown. And he almost had another one.
We always talk about response and what a team is going to do when there's some adversity out there. The Houston Texans come out, they finally have something positive, and here's your first play by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Love the aggressive mentality that Nathaniel Hackett has been calling the game with today.
It's a great point. We have an injured player, Benardrick McKinney, who leads the team in tackles, who saved that touchdown, is still down. And man, the rash of injuries that have hit the Texans. We mentioned 4 defensive starters through the course of the season, 5 left tackles, 3 different quarterbacks.
And one of the things that Mike Vrabel talked to us about was we're going to find out, who really loves this game. And Benardrick McKinney does, because he's coming from a long way to run down a wide receiver right there and gets hurt as he goes to the ground. But that's tremendous hustle, because he's all the way up on the opposite side of the field, never gives up on that play. Chases a guy that's probably a little bit faster than him all the way down to the 2-yard line.
Showing you he'll play regardless of what's up on the scoreboard in a 31-7 game. Tracking down a receiver in Cole, who went 73 yards. Great hustle from McKinney. Bortles over 300 yards passing now. And Keelan Cole, a free agent from Kentucky Westland, teaming up with D.D. Westbrook to give this passing game a lot of firepower, with Marquise Lee injured in the first half. And they hope that Allen Hurns returns from his ankle injury next week.
Green 80! Green go!
Chris Ivory stoned on that defensive line where they've gotten down close. Of the Texans has been tough to get through.
That's Jadeveon Clowney again, and I think a lot of people are looking at him as an edge rusher and this guy that puts pressure on the quarterback, but he's really good against the run.
And Ivory's slow to get up. The only other active running backs, Bohannon, the fullback, who scored early, but you have Yeldon and Corey Grant. And Yeldon headed to the sideline. Ivory headed to the sideline, so Yeldon probably will come out into the backfield for Blake Bortles.
Jadeveon Clowney all the way here on the outside. Watch him get up the field, chase, pursuit from inside. Brian Cushing with the big stop. Then you got Dylan Cole coming in to help up. You got Jadeveon coming around the backside, pulling, not letting that running back move forward at all.
Green 80! Green go!
It's Bohannon. Touchdown! Second of the game, second of his career.
It's just that quick hitter. It happens so fast. You get a little bit of push at the point of attack. You know, that last play you saw Chris Ivory working, but again, watch how quick this gets into the running game, into the run gap. Really nice job by A.J. Cann getting that seal. That was the key block. Look at number 60 right there. And Brian Cushing just can't get there soon enough, can't get there low enough with leverage.
Tommy Bohannon, second in the Pro Bowl fan voting. They'll be announced on Tuesday. The fullback with 2 scores today. They are ready to party. It's been a long time since a trip to the playoffs in Jacksonville. Standing room only, back-to-back sellouts, a sunny day in the field that has a pool. Getting closer to securing a playoff spot. Still have their eye on the big prize, the AFC South Division. Chris Thompson for the Texans spinning into a tackle. And a flag down. 10 penalties on the Texans today. Only 4 accepted on Jacksonville.
During the return, holding number 52 receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Jags ready to end a lengthy playoff drought. They're not the only ones. When you look at teams like Buffalo since '99 to the postseason, the Browns, Rams, Jags, Titans, all these teams, with the exception of the winless Browns, who are losing again today, have a chance to end those playoff droughts this year.
And every one of them that's in position to make the playoffs controls their own destiny. They don't need help from somebody else to get them there. So this is going to be interesting to see how many droughts end this season.
Yates, who threw a touchdown pass last series, safely throws that one out of bounds. You know, we were talking about, even though Ramsey gave up the score, that the 2 great corners of Jacksonville, and A.J. Boye and Jalen Ramsey, in the Pro Bowl fan voting, they are 1-2. And of course, announcements come on Tuesday. Boye, who went to college at Central Florida, where same time, a year difference with Bortles, and of course was a Texan until he signed the 5-year, $67 million plus deal to take over in Jacksonville. Pass complete. Will Fuller up across the 15-yard line. Boye came in with 6 interceptions, leading the AFC, tied for the league lead. An undrafted free agent, worked his way up, came from Central Florida, as we mentioned. And really, people started noticing him in Houston, and the Jags added him to now the best defense in the league.
He fits in perfectly to what Doug Marrone is trying to build here. We call it old school, and that's exactly how he did it. An undrafted free agency, gets noticed on special teams, works his way through, just continues to work day in and day out to get better. He would take DeAndre Hopkins in practice every day so he could become a better corner.
Moments ago, the officials, they're going to have a timeout here by the Texans, but they moved Miles Jack, the officials.
First charge timeout, Jacksonville. A 30-second, correction, Houston. Second charge timeout, Houston.
So they'll have 1 remaining. Now, Miles Jack was asked to head over to the sideline to be checked on. And that's one of the things that is important, especially Bill O'Brien having to deal with that with his quarterback last week, Tom Savage. It's happened others around the league. The NFL emphasizing, and something, Darryl, I know that you have stayed on, concussion protocol with certified trainers watching, coordinating with officials and medical people on the sideline, ways to make it better and more efficient.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're going to have situations like we had last week with Tom Savage where we find some of the gaps in this system, and that's really what it became. And a lot of people were critical of Bill O'Brien. Well, he's not going to see that. He's on the sideline. He's a long ways away. He's on to the next play. So we've got to find somewhere where the referee who is standing over Tom Savage, the spotters who are upstairs, that are watching the game, we've got to do a better job with video down to the sideline. So I think what happened with Tom Savage, hopefully we grow and learn from that because they continue to make strides in that arena.
Catch made for a first down. Will Fuller, and Tom Savage defending his coach. And remember, it was the end of a series, so he came out anyway. But at least what an official can do on the field, too, is say, hey, you're out for one play, and you can be checked on. And after that, the medical people have to take over.
Yeah, and this is a scary video right here. You can see right there, they call it the fencing position. You know, he's gone into a posture right there, and the official's right there. Now, he's allowed to get him off to the sideline. You go into the medical tent, but you can pass those tests there. And I think something that a lot of people don't understand, sometimes concussion symptoms are later in coming on.
What a catch by DeAndre Hopkins. There's a flag down. I think he wants interference to go with it against Ramsey.
Number 79, offense. 10-yard penalty, first down.
It's going to come back. Another call against Jeff Allen, even though that was a terrific effort from Hopkins.
Keep an eye out at your left tackle out here. The top of your screen, you can see right there, Yannick Ngakoue gets upfield inside, and he's got no alternative but to grab and pull a little bit. And here's that battle on the outside. And again, the possession. I mean, it's one-handed.
Miles Jack has come back out, so whatever they checked on, that he was cleared for the play that he sat out on. After the penalty now, 1st and 20. Ball gets away in his own end zone. Yates heaves it out of bounds. Hopkins had a step on the sideline, but Yates just running for safety back there.
This is nice composure by TJ Yates. You get the bad snap through the hands. Now get back there, pick it up, maintain your composure. Yeah, just get it out of bounds, beyond the sticks.
Yates in his 7th year, drafted by Houston in the 5th round in 2011. Actually, his first appearance in the NFL came in a win against Jacksonville in Jacksonville. On 2nd and 20. Pressure coming. He's hit. Ball's floated, and almost, if it had hung in the air, might have been another pick. Yannick Ngakoue got to Yates as he let the ball go.
Again, this is one of the guys coming off the edge. Great speed upfield. We saw him last time, and one of the best in the business at the strip sack. You know, not just getting the sack, but generating the turnover. One of the things we're showing you about this Jacksonville defense is their ability to generate takeaways. And one of the biggest ways is right there, pressure on the pocket. And Yannick Ngakoue is one of the best in the business at the strip sack, creating fumbles for his team.
49 sacks leads the NFL, as does the 31 takeaways. It's going to be 4th down. Calais Campbell with another sack. Give him credit. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
All right, you won't say no Carson Wentz, no problem, but Nick Foles holding his own and more. 4 touchdown passes to 4 different Eagle receivers, including that with Nelson Aguilar, and they're up by 8 points, a win, and they get a first-round bye. Chris?
Thanks, Kurt. Vikings are winning their game at home, and there's a look at the NFC East. The Cowboys playing Sunday night against Oakland, hoping to keep their playoff hopes alive. Westbrook on the return. D.D. Westbrook has some blockers paving the way, and he gets back inside the 43 of the Texans. Jacksonville protecting a 38-7 third-quarter lead. Getting closer to Christmas. Jags getting closer to securing their first playoff spot in some 10 years. Quite a turnaround from 3 and 13.
Kill. Let's go to 41. Alert 41. Sunday.
Bortles in command on this Sunday. TJ Yeldon carries. Ivory left injured on the last series, and Fournette inactive.
But I've been impressed because there's been an MO. I think a lot of defenses think that when you play Jacksonville, if you can come in and stuff this run and put the ball into Blake Bortles' hands, that you're going to have a good shot. But Nathaniel Hackett has just done a tremendous job in this first year of really getting these guys integrated into this system. And by choice today, their easiest path was, in their belief, the passing game. With Leonard Fournette not in the lineup today, hey, let's lean on the passing game a little bit. It's paid big dividends.
but again, yeah, they've thrown it more than they've run it. That's not been their nature, but they've had to today, even with injury at receiver as well as at running back. Laura.
Don't think that Leonard Fournette is taking today off. If you look at him right now, Leonard's been sitting with the defense this game, interacting with them. He has also called 4 plays today. Nathaniel Hackett likes him to be engaged and says he knows the run game and what these guys do so well. He trusts them. He's called 4 plays, all running plays today.
I know that Blake Bortles told us he changes the plays. You talk about audibles, but about 5 to 8 times a game he's changed out of things, and he has to here, getting it to Yeldon as the run game has stalled a little bit. Under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
And again, it's one of these screens, and you've got free runners coming, and these backs that are a part of the screen have to kind of bypass. And on that play right there, Kareem Jackson is coming off the edge, and TJ Yeldon's got to kind of let him go. You got to be careful here in these situations with a game like this. You don't want something happening to Blake Bortles right now, taking a big hit in a pass game.
Nordman last time had a booming kick. Drops this perfect position inside the 5, waiting for the bounce. Peyton Thompson with the special teams play. Bowl season coming up. The Foster Farms Bowl, Arizona and Purdue. You'll see that on Fox. That's Wednesday, next Wednesday, and then next Thursday on FS1. Washington State up against Michigan State in the Holiday Bowl. It's been a while since we've seen the wave, and it's been a while since we've seen the Jags in the playoffs, and this dominant. 17 minutes and 19 seconds away from making that official. Alfred Blue falling across, make that Lamar Miller, excuse me, across the 5-yard line. Only touchdown for Houston, as looks like there's another injured player. The toss to DeAndre Hopkins in the second half. Boy, there's a player in pain.
That's your center, Nick Martin, and that's one of the spots that's been shored up. You know, you mentioned all the different guys out at left tackle. Right guard's been hit, but left guard, center, and right tackle have been consistent through the year this season. And you know, this has implications because a lot of times your centers are involved with a lot of the protection calls and the play calls at the line of scrimmage. So 66 working on the double team, and again, it's that guy coming off the edge and everything rolling up on the back of the legs. It looked like Aaron Colvin trying to come in and get a tackle there, and kind of slides and hits the lower legs while Nick Martin's engaged in the block. And this is another area, we've seen this throughout the league this year. Inconsistency at the quarterback is tough, but the offensive line, and you look at all these different combinations, and again, it's left tackle and right guard, and left tackle is such a huge part of your protection scheme. That's where a lot of the dominant pass rushers go. It ends up being your open tackle the majority of the time when you're talking about a right-handed thrower. So it's been a challenge for the Houston Texans this year. And that's the big thing. It's not just, the injuries. It's the players who are injured. It's the position that is suffering that injury that has really handcuffed Bill O'Brien's team this year.
Dwayne Brown, who has created quite a problem when he was here over contract and was eventually traded away. But Nick Martin was one of the steady guys throughout all the changes. So it looks like Greg Mance will move over to center. I know Chris Slade is the player that Bill O'Brien said when there are these situations, you look at guys who step up, and the second-year player from Auburn was one he mentioned as a guy who has played well when called upon. And now 2nd and 7. Watch the center exchange. We've already had a few that have been shaky. Alfred Blue carries to the 9-yard line. Under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter.
He's done a tremendous job with this defense. Todd Wash is, a lot of talent at his disposal to work with, but this had to surprise everybody. I think everybody saw what happened in Week 1 when they played Houston to start the season, and you're like, well, that's just one of those enigmas. They can't be that good all year long. Well, guess what? They sure can. This is a really talented defense.
impressive wins over the Steelers and Roethlisberger, and then beating Russell Wilson in Seattle. Yates for Hopkins, who can't reach that one. And it'll be 4th down. Ramsey slow to get up.
Working from the inside part of that 2x2. Trying to get the vertical element with the little hitch to the outside.
In his own end zone. Jaden Mickens has some room here. Jaden Mickens high stepping inside the 30 of Houston. And a flag is down.
He's had a couple of these today, and he had a great one last week against Seattle. He's really good at getting up and making the catch. And to be moving that fast.
Kick, holding, receiving team number 52. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
I mean, you're moving that fast forward. This is not an easy thing, and Jaden Mickens makes it look easy. You see him moving on the fly, trying to get up here. You never want the punt to be able to hit the ground because it can just take off and give you 25, 30 yards a roll. In the last couple of weeks, I know he's had great returns, but I think one of the other things that Jaden Mickens brings to the punt return position is the great fielding of the football. He had the one that, the hop last week, remember? That was his big return, came off the one that he actually couldn't get to before it hit the ground, but he was very confident in getting it on that first bounce and taking off.
Yep, setting up for a score against the Seattle Seahawks.
Good.
He's also been a star receiver today with 4 catches and a couple of touchdowns. Ivory is back in, and here comes the flag as he gets up to the 44-yard line. And it looks like he's hurting. He went out for a couple of series.
Illegal block in the back. Number 12 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
Westbrook called for the penalty that will back up Jacksonville. Hope that Ivory is okay.
Well, I know this is one of those spots where Doug Marrone, this is something he mentioned last week. What I want to see our offensive line and our run game be able to do is run the ball when the defense knows that's what we're going to do. And I thought they were really good at that last week against Seattle, especially that last drive. It's 3rd and 11. They get a 13-yard run to kind of close that game out. This will be a great opportunity for them here. You know, let's get into a 4-minute mode here as we get into the 4th quarter and really just start pounding the ball. They've got to this 38-7 lead via the passing game. The passing game has been the big thing today. Now let's come back and show everybody that when we want to run the football, we can do it.
Marrone established 3 things that he said coming into the year. We want to win the physical battle, 1. 2, we want to win the turnover battle. And 3, want to be in the 4th quarter in a game where we can find a way to scratch, claw, and win if we have to. Well, they'll go to the 4th quarter with a sizable lead. Well, they've won the physical battle and the turnover battle. Best in that department. Yeldon is in for Ivory. He gets the carry and runs it up across the 37-yard line.
And I think after this game, I think what you'll hear Doug Marrone talk about is the penalties, and especially in special teams. I think that's an area the last 2 weeks we've seen some good plays being wiped away by special teams penalties.
He's not smiling, but he will be if his team hangs on here in the final quarter. A 38-7 Jacksonville lead over the Texans. Closing in on a playoff spot. Frustrating day for Bill O'Brien on that Texans sideline. Here in Jacksonville, they're ready to celebrate. That's Calais Campbell. They call him the mayor of Saxonville, ruler of all things defense for the Jaguars. The offense right now facing a 2nd and 10 to start the 4th quarter. Daryl Johnston, Chris Myers, the NFL on Fox. Yeldon in after Ivory left for a 2nd time injured. Tommy Bohanna, the fullback, has a couple of touchdown runs today. Blake Bortles over 320 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And Daryl, this is the 15th career 300-yard game for Bortles and the 3rd of this season.
Well, you mentioned that season back in 2015. You had the 35 touchdowns. It was the most explosive passing offense in the NFL. But you talked to him, and I knew he didn't think that was sustainable. I think this season has been an awakening for him, and it's going to be exciting to see how they finish and what they do when they get to the playoffs.
Dumps it off. Yeldon slips one tackle, but Texans, who came in as one of the surest tackling teams in the league, Houston ranking among the top 5 and fewest missed tackles, forcing a punt now. And we'll see what the Texans can do on offense. Brad Nortman, that's Will Fuller waiting for the return. And rolls out of bounds around the 10-yard line. So we're going to look at this #1 ranked defense. Fans are not sweating it out. Not here. This most festive time of the year, especially if you're a Jags fan here in Jacksonville. Christmas a week from tomorrow. Jags on defense against the Texans, and blue carries to the 15. That defense came in #1 in the league, and they've lived up to it today.
Yeah, they really have. And again, it's that combination of the pressure they can generate with just their down 4, and then to have 2 standout corners in your secondary, and that forces some mistakes. Great range by Barry Church right there on the interception. So, pressure up front, coverage down the field leads to takeaways, and Todd Wash's group has had a great afternoon.
Defensive coordinator, they're only allowing 15 points a game. That's the fewest in the NFL. You see what they've done today against this Texans offense. Riddled with injury. Yates, incomplete. In sacks and takeaways, and the Jags have a chance to be the first to do that. So how do they match up against some of these defenses that we measure recently, like the Bears of '85, the Ravens, whose teams went on to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, those are iconic defenses right there, and everybody remembers that Bears defense, the origins of the '46 and the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Worked with Tony Siragusa for a long time at what they were able to accomplish. One of the ones that always gets left off that list for me, the '91 Eagles. They didn't lead in any of those categories, but were a very, very dominant defense, back in 1991. And this group is about to do something that none of those defenses did during their time.
And the takeaways in that department, as that's incomplete, so they force a 3 and out. And ultimately, keeping notes here, I guess you're measured, you win the Super Bowl, right? There have been great defenses where their teams have fallen short. It's a long haul for Jacksonville to go. They've never been, obviously, one of the few franchises. You think of Houston. These are 2 that have never been to a Super Bowl. And then the franchises like the Browns and the Lions. First things first, they want to get into the playoffs, then worry about the division and get to host a playoff game. They'll take over on offense, leading 38-7. Sunny here in Florida. Darryl Johns to Chris Myers. You want to peak at the right time, and for Blake Bortles, who's now out of the game, he has.
And the great thing about that right there are no interceptions over the last 3 weeks. It was something that plagued him last year. A little bit throughout his entire career. He's really gotten a good handle on that. Even to the point where Mike Vrabel said that's the biggest difference I've seen with him this year, his decision making. He's not giving you opportunities to take the ball away.
Didn't have the running game to lean on so much today, so he aired it out. And Chad Henne, who's only played 9 snaps prior to coming in and handing off there, the 10-year veteran from Michigan, who was originally drafted by the Dolphins. The backup coming in as Bortles will rest up and get ready for San Francisco. Last home game for the Jags, regular season home game this year. They'll be at the 49ers and then at Tennessee in what most likely will decide the AFC South division. Again, the Titans playing the 49ers out west a little later. Corey Grant is now the running back. And he is straight ahead inside the 30. And the numbers today, losing his top receiver early, he found other people.
I mean, Marquise Lee was a big guy last week against Seattle. He goes out early, and who is this Jaden Mickens guy? I mean, here's your punt returner, goes in and has a great afternoon. Keelan Cole continues to impress, and Blake Bortles has just done a nice job of working with some young guys and building some chemistry very quickly.
Cole with 7 catches, 186 yards and a touchdown. Mickens with 2 touchdown catches after 4 grabs. Grant gets outside. Corey Grant inside the 10.
How many types do we see like this around the league? Austin Eckler with the Chargers, a little bit of the Tevin Coleman with the Atlanta Falcons. It's this new changeup. I don't really want to call it a changeup, but I mean, I don't know if it's Corey Grant's coming into the game and he's fresh and he's pumped up, but boy, he's got a burst, and the Texans have to be careful. They got to watch their edges because he got around that pretty quickly.
That offensive line mentality dripping down from the head coach, Doug Marrone. Doesn't matter, seems who the back is when they need the rush yards. They get it. Grant, 3rd year from Auburn, a undrafted free agent, mostly a return guy, special teams guy, but carrying big for Jacksonville. So if we talk about this dominant defense and a team that has a chance to not only go to the playoffs, maybe host a playoff game or 2, and has already beaten the Steelers and the Seahawks, so they show they can play with the big boys. Darryl, as we watch this team for the 2nd straight week, I mean, how far can this Jacksonville Jags team go? Is a Super Bowl out of the realm of reality?
You know what? This year there's really no clear defined favorite. I mean, you go to the New England Patriots, who got beat by the Dolphins last Monday night. It's kind of wide open right now. Carson Wentz with the Eagles, having the ACL injury. I don't know who the dominant team is, and we're in week 15, so why not? Why not Jacksonville? And I go back to last year. The Houston Texans went up to Gillette Stadium with that defense last year. They gave Tom Brady fits. If they had that complementary offensive component, who knows what happens that day? Jacksonville has that component, and they've got a very aggressive special teams phase in this game. So I just think that this is a team you definitely do not want to play in the playoffs if you're a high seed.
Grant, touchdown, Jacksonville. "44 points they put up today." That'll get a smile from the sideline.
And again, I don't know if it's just, that Corey Grant is fresh, what it is, but, watch the guard center right there, 69-65. They wash everything down, and it's patience to the hole and then the burst through the hole. Sometimes young running backs get up there too fast. That was great patience by Corey Grant, and then when that hole opened up, he was able to explode through.
The 8-yard touchdown run. Now Jacksonville put up 44 points week 3 against Baltimore. A season high 45 for the playoff bound Jaguars. We know they have the #1 defense in Jacksonville, but the offense today 6 for 6 when they got inside the 20 in the red zone, producing touchdowns. That'll make it tough on anybody, and it has been a tough day for the Texans. A win and they're in. You see Jacksonville currently the 3 seed. Darryl, New England playing Pittsburgh later today. We know that the Jags already beat the Steelers head-to-head. New England 3 losses, Steelers 2 losses.
Yeah, you would have to have a couple of losses down the stretch for Pittsburgh. I think you'll see some Jacksonville fans go home tonight and, believe it or not, cheer for the Steelers. Knock the Patriots down to 4. What are the tiebreaker scenarios there? They've got to get into that situation. Obviously, with the win at Pittsburgh, they've got the head-to-head there. But what are they against the New England Patriots? And gosh, how about that? How about all of a sudden you're hosting a playoff game here?
It's been a while since the Jags won a division. There was a penalty there, and we'll mark the ball up to the 30 for Doug Marrone. So even I'm sure Jacksonville fans, the big difference is getting to at least the 2 seed, because then you get the first round bye. You don't have to play that extra game, and you're at least going to have 1 home game. Chances increase of getting more. Steelers and Patriots a little bit later today. It's Alfred Blue carries.
And the great thing about getting that bye is getting your team healthy. And, that's something that Jacksonville really doesn't have to worry about. We talked about the injury situation facing Houston. Doug Marrone and his group, amazing how healthy they've stayed, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Telvin Smith missed a couple of games over the last 2 weeks. He was the first starter to miss games. They've had some shuffling in the offensive line. Obviously, Leonard Fournette has missed a couple on the offensive side. But they'll go into the playoffs as probably as healthy as any team that's entering the playoffs.
This is Alfred Blue, and they just want to run this thing down. Tom Coughlin at age 71 in his first year as the executive vice president of football operations here in Jacksonville. He was the founding coach of the Jags for 8 seasons. They went to the playoffs 4 times and 2 AFC championship games, and just to have his presence, it's made a difference. Doug Marrone has said that, and certainly David Caldwell, the general manager since 2013, has worked well with this group to put them in this position. Just over 9 minutes away. And Blue carries and gets the first down. By the way, in a 12-4 record, in a tie, the Jags would have the tiebreaker by conference record over New England. So your scenario, they have a lot more to play for than just a playoff spot in a division, from 2 to possibly the 1 seed, although you'll never get Doug Marrone to say that.
No, never. But it's great. But I think it's better. It's not just, hey, we played this as a one-game mentality. It's 17 weeks of 1 week at a time. Doug has got him kind of focused more on every week is the biggest game of the season, and that importance was really kind of tapped into these guys' preparation.
Incomplete. Off the hands of DeAndrew White. Let's get a game break with Carissa.
Thanks, Chris. We head to New Orleans. Saints up 17-13 in the 4th when Drew Brees connects with Michael Thomas for a 4-yard score. Saints lead 24-13. Chris?
Thank you. And in that NFC South, Carolina at home leads Rodgers and the Packers as you see the standings, and the Falcons playing Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Paul Posluszny on a winning team for the first time in his 11-year career, from Buffalo to here in Jacksonville. Used more lately. This flag looked like somebody from the Texans.
Number 70, offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Davenport called for the infraction. Laura?
Here's a crazy story about Paul Posluszny. He learned after last week's win that before the win, he and Richie Incognito were the only 2 players with 10 or more years in the league to not experience a winning season. This is a big deal for him. He said, I've never felt this in my career. To finally feel it is incredible. I've had more fun this year than ever before. And mind you, I don't play as much and I don't make as many big plays, but I'm enjoying every minute of this.
Well, the last 2, Darrell, he said he was well rested because he hadn't played a lot early. And when Telvin Smith was out, he missed only 1 snap in the previous 2 games on defense.
Yeah, and he had his 2 best games of the season by far. I mean, he was all over the field making tackles. So, hopefully we got our fingers crossed for Richie Incognito too. He's up with the Buffalo Bills. They control their playoff destiny right now. So maybe we take both of those guys with 10+ years in the league that have never made it to the playoffs, and we check both of those boxes this season. Obviously, we've got to check for Paul, and sitting down with him on Friday afternoon, he sure was excited to see what it's like. You have friends and peers around the league, they talk about it, but he's finally going to get a chance to experience it.
Texans on 3rd and 15 against this defense that has been so tough. And they gobble him up for a sack. The Yates goes down. Dante Fowler now with 7.5 sacks for the year.
And that's that classic combination that the Jacksonville defense can do. They can rush 4, get enough pressure on the quarterback, because in coverage you've dropped 7. You can play man on the outside and you can zone different parts of the field, and TJ Yates just has nowhere to go with the football.
Posluszny, he's the one who said, I've never been around this much personality on one team in all my years in the league. The 11-year veteran, and they've got it. The defensive swagger, the calm on the offensive side. Some young, rising, talented receivers.
12 players on defense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
And Dante Fowler, a Florida Gator, contributing to Jacksonville's success, former 1st-round pick. Mickens, doesn't only return the punts, he makes sure you have the right amount of people on the field.
Just in case they can't count to 11 up front.
Waves for the fair catch and has it in the shadows here. Next Sunday, NFL doubleheader on Fox, Falcons and Saints. That's a huge NFC South showdown. The Rams will be in Tennessee to take on the Titans. Jag fans will be watching that one. America's Game of the Week has the Cowboys hosting the Seahawks. Two teams trying to work their way into the playoffs. It's doubleheader football next Sunday on Fox. And the NFC playoff picture. Vikings clinch the division. The Eagles have already clinched. Case Keenum, by the way, leading the Vikings. A University of Houston quarterback who was once with the Texans, bouncing around, has found a home. Corey Grant, the back. Laura reporting that Chris Ivory is okay. He's just going to stay out and rest up with the score being what it is. Look at Grant. Fighting. We talked about Paul Posluszny on the defensive side, his first winning team. And there's Mercedes Lewis, who is the last member of the Jags, the only one who was on that last playoff team. 12th year from UCLA, has been to the Pro Bowl. As you talked about his blocking ability, does have 5 touchdown catches this year.
Well, last week against Seattle, they've got 2 great edge rushers on Seattle, and he talked about how he felt that was one of his better games as an end line blocker. We didn't call Michael Bennett's name until the end of the game when that fricas broke out. Frank Clark also, just a really nice job by Mercedes Lewis last week as a blocker.
Yeah, Laura?
There's been such a great time this week talking to Mercedes, who's answering a lot about the playoffs with his head. He keeps telling me, I don't want to answer with my heart until 4:30. But one of the things he talked about, they've had so much talent on these teams, but he said guys just weren't on the same page. Marone and Coughlin, he said, set the tone day one. Most strenuous camp I've ever been through in 12 years. But said immediately they said no leniency, not to rookies, not to vets, nobody. He said we fought every day in practice, and I haven't seen that since 06. He said that's when I knew we were going to be good.
Daryl, you talked about Corey Grant. Thanks, Laura, how Doug Marone, it was a very physical training camp. Some coaches have different views of working, pounding that hard early, but set the tone so that they would be healthy enough or tough enough, if you want to call it that, in the stretch run here.
Well, they call it earning the right to win games during the regular season. You pay the price, during training camp. That's what training camp used to be. It was an unnecessary evil that you went through to get yourself ready for the regular season, and they were very demanding when I played the game. They're much different today, but Doug's trying to strike that balance in between. If you want to be a good running team, you got to practice hard during training camp. You got to put the pads on. You got to go against your first team defense. It's a physical style of training camp, and it's paid huge dividends. And then they had success early, and that's the big selling point, because you come in and all of a sudden you're doing some things differently, and you don't have that success right away. Players will start to doubt you.
White with the fair catch. 10 years since a playoff trip, but the Jags haven't won a division since '99. That's when Tom Coughlin was their coach. Had a league-high 7 Pro Bowl selections. Guys like Mark Burdell, Tony Baselli, who's here as a broadcaster, Jimmy Smith, Carnell Lake, Tony Brackens. And also that year, it was Daryl Johnston's final season as a player, star fullback in the NFL with the Cowboys.
And again, we talk about that relationship with Doug Marone and Tom Coughlin, and it goes back prior to just this year. Doug had met Tom Coughlin, back, his days coming out of Syracuse and considering a career in coaching, and always stayed in touch and became like a mentor to him. And there's a lot of guys that Doug would reach out to at different stages, and Tom Coughlin was one of those guys. So when we met him last week for the first time, he was so excited when they told him, hey, guess what, Tom Coughlin's going to be the executive vice president of football operations. Doug's like, that is fantastic, because that's a guy I've been calling anyways for advice and information.
I tell you what, I know one franchise misses Tom Coughlin up there in the Northeast. And, Doug Marone, when you talk to him, he reminds me he's got a Bill Parcells thing about him,
He's a curmudgeon.
Yeah, tough, knows what to expect, knows how to read his guys, get the most out of them, keeps everything in front of him.
Number 61, offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Kyle Fuller, rookie from Baylor, called for that infraction. 14 penalties accepted on the Texans today. That goes with the disruption of players shuffling in and out from injury.
Yeah, and that will be one of the things that Bill O'Brien is going to be very disappointed with his guys, because you have to come out and play nearly a flawless game against Jacksonville with the injury situation you had and how simplified you had to make your offenses and defenses to compete today, and to come out and shoot yourself in the foot with 14 accepted penalties. That'll be his big message to the team down the stretch. Listen, we can't beat ourselves. It's the #1 rule in football. Don't beat yourself.
They've only turned it over once against the top takeaway team in football. Bill O'Brien, who's a little younger, about 5 years younger than Doug Marrone, but they buddies, as we said, since the 80s when they were both on the Georgia Tech coaching staff. Youngsters working hard in the business, in the profession. Still close friends. As Alfred Blue fights hard to get up across the 30. In fact, I think it was Doug Marrone who said he probably spent more hours working alongside of them through the 90s, more coach hours, riding in a car, going back and forth, working hard than with anybody else. And here they are from the '98 Georgia Tech football team.
And up here with their very stylish long pants up there.
George O'Leary is here at the game. There they are, the two of them together. Their wives are good friends too. They are both lawyers or have been lawyers. Tough try for Kobe Hamilton. Incomplete, and Carissa has a game break.
Thanks, Chris. Getting interesting in Carolina. Packers down 14 in the fourth. Aaron Rodgers connects with the other Rodgers, Richard Rodgers, for this 24-yard touchdown. But what happens next that's now making this game exciting? Marwin Evans recovers the onside kick. Packers down 7 at the 2-minute warning. Chris?
Unbelievable, the Aaron Rodgers magic touch. Whether it's a Hail Mary, there's always hope with him.
How do they execute that onside kick time after time at that critical point in the game?
Fair catch. I saw Green Bay lose the onside kick to Seattle in the playoff game. Remember where it went the other way. But if Rodgers has the ball down 7 late, you might be looking at overtime in that game. Here, 45-7. Jags putting up their highest point total of the season. And when you look at the amount of playoff games, mentioned when it was the AFC Central back with Tom Coughlin as the coach, and division titles. And as I mentioned, one of the 4 current franchises never been to the Super Bowl. That cheer, they just showed Tom Coughlin from his booth on the big screen here, and the fans right away handing out applause to Tom Coughlin.
He's done a remarkable job, and it's amazing because there was a lot of talent here, but the decisions to bring in the guys like Calais Campbell and Barry Church and A.J. Boye, and A.J. even said, he goes, Calais and Barry had signed ahead of me. I couldn't wait to get there to be a part of that. Doug Marrone is retained, from the interim job as head coach last year, and they've got that chemistry and that relationship in the back, and just a great mix of young talent, veteran leadership, and that's why this thing has popped so quickly.
It's Corey Grant again. He's got a touchdown run already. He gets a first down run. Probably wanted to stay in bounds, but got the first down to keep things going. Tom Coughlin earlier this year he was presented with the Aarons Award. Darryl, you're familiar, Syracuse highest alumni honor. You, of course, along with Doug Marrone, Syracuse graduates. And what he did with the Giants and bringing Super Bowls there. 20 seasons as an NFL head coach. A dozen with the Giants. Overseeing a success story in Jacksonville. TJ Yeldon stopped short at the 30-yard line.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Corey Grant was brought over to the sideline and told, in this situation, let's make sure we stay in the field of play. Don't stop that clock. Always an opportunity to teach young guys the situational element of the game of football.
A frustrating season for the Texans. Jacksonville, after 6 consecutive years of double-digit losses, a 9th win, securing a winning season already, now securing a playoff spot. And the 2-minute mark. 2 minutes away. from a playoff appearance for the Jacksonville Jags, dominating the Texans today. What a performance today this season for Jacksonville with a couple of regular season games left. Jags' final home game of the regular season. Corey Grant leaps into the air. And he got the first down.
You want to be careful there. He was up on everybody's shoulders. You didn't want him to come straight down and land on his head.
Yeah, you don't want a mosh pit concert thing going on there. Jacksonville will be on the road to take on the 49ers, and then the showdown. Remember, they lost to the Titans earlier this year, so as you said, Daryl, Tennessee is at San Francisco later, and then the Rams before they run into the Jags.
Well, that's why Doug Marrone's got the perfect, mantra moving forward, because Tennessee still controls their destiny. If they win out, they would tie Jacksonville, and they would win that tiebreaker. So it's going to be real easy for Doug Marrone to keep his team focused down the stretch, and they really should set up a really, really exciting game that last week of the season.
Congratulations, Jacksonville. If you're going to do it in style. And this one was never in doubt. In victory formation to go to 10-4. A 45-7 playoff clinching win against a division rival that used to beat them up on a regular basis. Texans will slip to 4-10. Houston will take on the Steelers and then close out the regular season at Indiana. Indianapolis against the Colts. The State Farm postgame show is coming up. More on the playoff picture from the AFC as well as the NFC. The return of Aaron Rodgers. The seeding process. All the highlights from Week 15 around the NFL. Elias Campbell, the veteran Mercedes Lewis, enjoying in the Jacksonville party. Final 45-7. You're watching the NFL on Fox, and we have more to cover in just a few moments.